So we got a little bonus content here for you. We didn't get much time to talk during the message, but Steve and I go way back to junior high, best recollection, 7th grade.
I think we were 12.
Yeah, that's about right. Maybe
sixth grade.
Yeah.
6th grade.
So 6th, 7th grade, Wichita, Kansas. We met at the same church. You guys were new to our church. I'd been there since birth, and you guys came over, and we met in a Sunday school class.
Yep.
Did not care for
you were
each other.
preaching?
No, not yet.
You came out of the womb preaching, I'm convinced.
I don't know about that.
But you were preaching the first time I met you.
I don't know about that either, but I did have a white Bible.
Yes, he was. You had everything white.
Yeah, I was a televangelist.
3-piece white suit, white vinyl, Cousin Eddie shoes.
Yes.
I didn't look much better. It was just a different version of dumb.
No, you had a Bible where you'd written the name Jesus on the side of it, and you'd misspelled Jesus. So I felt the need to.
Well, I went over it was J-E-S-E-S that I quickly discovered, and went over the E with a hard U.
Yeah, but you weren't fooling anybody. The thing I love about our journey over the last 38 years, because we're both 50 now, is that God has used us in different ways and in different places, but it's always been fun to kind of just see what God's doing. And obviously, you were in youth ministry. I was in young adult ministry. I came out here. You eventually came out here. We worked together for 14 years. And then you'd always had this passion for helping out the poor, the marginalized, the least, the last, and the lost. And God just took you in that direction of International Justice Mission, which was just a perfect fit for you. And I couldn't cheer you on even more for that. But I do know, just having known you for so long, something shifted for you. And I think it was probably maybe after college, maybe even a little bit during college. Maybe it was that trip to New York. God began to break your heart for something that hadn't previously gone on with you. Tell us what God started doing in your life that took you to the place you are now.
Yeah, I think I'm so happy, that God made it possible for me to have these intersections or these kind of collisions with the world, that I just didn't have growing up in Kansas. And so, it was at Ozark Christian College. Went on a missions trip to Chicago and to New York. And I think that was the first time where my world really collided with something that was really different and unique. It was not in the suburbs. It was not in a safe, little, secure, whitewashed environment. And it really opened my eyes to the realities of the ways in which people live that were far different from mine. And I think it really began to draw me closer into just the grittiness of life, and really focusing on people who lived in the cracks, who were marginalized, who were forgotten, not talked about.
Some of your heroes along the path have included people like Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, but Gary Haugen as well.
Yeah.
Tell me how you came across him and how you began to find out about International Justice Mission.
Yeah, so I was at a youth ministry conference in San Diego, and I heard, maybe it wasn't I don't remember where it was, but at any rate, it was a conference, and I heard somebody from IJM speak. I don't even know who it was, but they in the the out front of the lobby, where you can buy all the books and stuff. Yeah. I'm cruising through there. I'd just been hit with this message about, slavery, and that was mind-boggling. I didn't know. I had no clue. Yeah. The numbers that were presented back then, and the stories of rescue, and these beautiful survivors who had just experienced hell on earth, that were now just beautiful pictures of hope and God's grace. And so I found this curriculum, this youth curriculum with youth specialties in IJM. I picked it up and took my students through it. And so that was my first intro to IJM. And then I got online, I'd look at them over the years and just followed them and just thought, gosh, they're amazing. Gary Haugen was, a Harvard lawyer. He worked for the Department of Justice. He worked a lot in police abuse of power here in the United States. He worked in Rwanda. He was the lead investigator for the Rwandan genocide.
Wow.
And it was there, I think in the 90s, late 90s, when he was there, he felt God's call to start IJM because he recognized there were, the church and other nonprofits were really meeting the needs of the poor. Water, food, shelter, medicine, education, all of those felt needs that are needed, that are very important, doing a phenomenal job of meeting those needs. But no one talked about or recognized the need for protection or for justice. And it's really hard to alleviate poverty. You provide a microloan, but that person who has that loan now is a victim of violence every day, and faces a threat of that being stolen with no consequences and no fear of the criminals. Or you can, build a well. I remember one time when we had gone to Uganda and we had given a goat to a little girl, and she went home with it, and we felt really good about it. And it was this beautiful story, that we're helping this sustainable situation for this kid to have goat's milk, and it felt great. And we came back another year. We were going to give that same girl a chicken and to have eggs. And again, we were like really excited, but she was very quiet, and we didn't really know why until we were finally able to hear from her that she felt horrible because she had been attacked and the goat was stolen when we had given the goat. And she felt, ashamed. And now she had this chicken, and she was terrified of what to do with this chicken because she didn't want to get, brutalized again. She didn't want the chicken stolen. She didn't want to go through the shame of this gift, this precious gift. And it really was in that moment where I thought, man, the work of IJM is so valuable to that little girl, because if she can't go home with her goat or her chicken and know she can, granted, she might be afraid, but if something bad were to happen, she could count on local authorities to see her and care about her, and to see that justice was done, to see that those people who abused her, were punished for that. And hopefully more little girls would be a little bit more safe as they went to the well that was dug to get the water, or, to go home from school.
Right.
So I think it's 5 billion people live outside of the protection of the law. So when violence comes their way, there's no justice system or law enforcement that is going to protect them.
Something we really take for granted here.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So I, back then, being introduced to that, Gary Haugen was a hero of mine. So just always held IJM near and dear to my heart. In 2014, I think it was, I met with Jocelyn White, who was the church mobilization director for IJM, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, she had the easiest customer. We met, and I was already in. So I was like, what can we do? Unfortunately, I oversaw the global department, so I could pull the trigger on that. And so it was a real joy for me to bring that IJM partnership to real life, and to begin to see the impact that I think that it began to have, not just on me, but I think on this entire church.
Absolutely. Well, I know that several of our folks have gone to the National Prayer Event. Obviously, you and I and a couple others got to go and visit with Gary Haugen and do Freedom Sundays around here as well. And so just on behalf of all of Real Life, thank you for getting us into that partnership, because it has been a tremendous blessing to see not only what they're doing, but to be a part of it. So you're on the inside now, and you know how it is. Sometimes, you think, boy, that job would be awesome, and then you get it and you think, oh, this is not at all.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about IJM now that you work there?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I fanboyed over IJM for so long, And, you know, it was always one of those things, like, if I ever didn't work at a church, that would be where I would want to work, but I just never ever thought that that would really happen. Would never want to work for any other church. And so, yeah, when the opportunity came and I got the job, which was crazy, I was like, oh no, you know, like, what if?
Yeah.
You know, now I'm peeking behind the curtain. What if I'm really disillusioned? And, you know, it's been it'll be 2 years in September. And man, I'm just constantly amazed by our teams, by our leadership. They continue to prove to be men and women that I just respect so deeply. And the level of the work that we do, and the level of integrity and character that we have, and the ability that our leaders have to say, this is who we are, and regardless if a major donor doesn't agree with some things, they push forward and say, this is who we are, this is our mission, and we're going to accomplish it no matter what. And so, it's been awesome. I'm still fanboying over it. I can't believe I get to be a part of it.
Well, I mean, obviously, I hate it that you left us to go do that, but I'm thrilled that you're doing it, because we were friends long before we worked together.
That's
and
right.
we're still friends afterwards.
Yes, we are.
Which was a major feat. No, just to know your heart over the years and to see, man, when you told me about this job opportunity, I just thought, goodness, there's just no more perfect job for you than that. And I'm thrilled for you.
Thanks.
So thanks for setting us up well, and we continue to do this.
Yeah. No, I'm proud to be a part of it. Proud to have had my journey at Real Life, and to see where that's taken it in Real Life, and just really hope and pray that Real Life continues to be, you know, a church that leads the way, you know, to be a just church, to really care for people who live in the margins and who don't have a lot of cheerleaders, you know, who don't have people who care. So thank you, Real Life, for being people who care about your community and care about the world. The world is crying out for the church to be God's hands and feet, and to see them and love them and to care for them, regardless if they're beyond our borders. Sometimes we just get hyper-focused on what's happening here, and the church definitely needs to be a change agent in its community. But I think it's really, really valuable for followers of Jesus to have a global heart, you know, to have that worldview, because it's the heart and of God for all people. So regardless of where we live, we are part of the kingdom of God, which really has no borders. And so when we look to Jesus on how to live, it doesn't matter where somebody is. But it begins with who we are and how we get to represent Jesus to people both near and far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Russ. Love you, buddy.
Love you too.